All right, everybody. Working on the rempuck V1 circuit board. You can see I've already got some parts stuffed, and I'm just going to go ahead and keep doing it. Hopefully you can see here. Let's see if we can zoom in a little bit more. Move this, yeah. Got my DJI Osmo set up, or my DJI Mobile 3, and we're just gonna go ahead and add this stuff in here. This is all built with pretty much 1206 components, which are, in the component world, a 1206 is 12 millimeters by 6 millimeters. Let's see if I can show you this. You see, it's not very big. I'll take you in for a close-up when I get closer to being done. I like to label my surface mount components. You can see it says 100 ohms, and then I just usually throw them into a bag with all the parts once they're marked. We are looking for the, here we go, 0.1 microfarad capacitors. These are ceramic non-polarized 100 nanofarad capacitors. And part of the circuit. I need one per board. Right on here. 100 NF. Throw that in the bag. And I always start by soldering one side of the board. Should be following. Okay. So you solder one pad, just put some little solder on it, and then you take your capacitor, and you set it down, you heat it up, you kind of slide it in there, touch it up, make it nice, and then we get the other side. Okay, well, the 100 nanofarad is good. What else I gotta put on here? Oh, the 1 meg ohm. Let's see, is this it? 1 meg ohm. Right on this one. 1 M for meg. And then we pull this off the cut tape. That's what this is. It's technically a tape and reel, but they've cut it to give you exactly how many you need. I recommend always buying at least, if you're not used to working with surface mount components, buy at least 2 or 3 more than you need, because you might drop one off into the middle of nowhere. I'm using this magnetic mat by cowrc.com. I use it for my RC cars and stuff, but it works pretty good for this too. It's white, and you know, you can see. Let's see here. This is where it gets a little tricky. I could have soldered the connectors on last. That's usually what I do, but I was kind of in the mood to put the connectors on. Okay. Let me put in our 1 meg. Be careful not to melt the connectors that you've already put on. Which I did just a teeniest bit in the corner. It's hard looking from this angle. Well, I got the camera going. Let's see here. Okay. Flip this around. I'm gonna have to get in real close. See, that's why I said, like, I usually don't do connectors until the end, because this is usually what happens. And the last piece is the chip socket. The little hump. I know you can't see it. The little notch is for pin 1. I also have that indicated on the board here. Pin 1, you can see there's a notch there. So all you do is this holds the programmable microcontroller. And we just, these pins are kind of delicate. These are the cheaper brand of sockets. They're, you know, it doesn't have to be anything special unless you really are concerned that it's going to make a difference. What you do is keep your finger. You can use tape. That's one way I do it, or just kind of, I'm pushing my finger under here, and we'll just tack 1 pin like that. And then we'll make sure that it's nice and flat, which it is. And then we'll just tack a pin on the other side to hold it in place. Okay, like that. Then we'll turn this around. Like that. And then we'll finish soldering the chip holder in place, the IC socket. Okay. All right. So at this point, my board is done. All that I have to do is connect up various switches or whatnot. This one goes to the 9-volt battery, which I'll solder on to a 9-volt battery snap. This one goes to the switch in the back of the rempuck. This one is for the antenna. Plug that one in there. This one is for the piezo speaker, like that. and then we've got our 4 LEDs. I made this also, you know, it's easy to take apart, replace the board if you need be. I like to be able to just, you know, there's an issue, I like to be able to unplug everything, so you can just bloop, you know. I'll show you the inside of the rempuck too. I custom made a 3D printed enclosure, so we can move this out of the way. Okay, so it's the original board that I have. You can see that I 3D printed this base that holds in the 9-volt battery, and it isolates it from the case, so you can just, you know, I've got it just stuck down, the original circuit board stuck down in here with double stick tape, and then I've got, you know, this is the power switch. We got the antenna over here, kind of hard to see. Anyway, so the next step is to plug this all in, and I'll bring you back and I'll show you how. Oh, not quite the last step, is the programmed part, which, where did I put it? Here it is. So I've been working with, here's the programmed chip. This is a PIC 12F508. It's like a, I don't know, 6IO device. I used MPLab version 5.10, and I also just bought myself a MPLab Picket Kit 4 to program the micros. So, you know, you just take it and you kind of squish the pins a little bit. Now I use, let's see if we can take you mobile here. So we'll zoom out. I just use this breadboard, and the chip goes right in here. The top wire is pin 8 and this one's pin 1, so you just drop it in the breadboard, and you've got this programming header right here that goes to your PIC programmer. So it plugs in here. So you plug your you know, your header into the Picket, and then you provide power, and then you run the software, and it programs the part. So that's kind of the gist of it. That's the basics. Let's see if we can, now that it's finished, we'll get you a good look at it here. So we'll go ahead and pin 1 is got the little notch in it, so you line the notch up with the notch, and then you're good. So we'll set this on here. We'll stick that in there, and there you go. The rempuck Mark 1 circuit board is done. I'm pretty happy with it. The only thing that I did notice is that, you know, I got the headers a little close to each other here, but that's fine. I may change it later. But other than that, this is it. So I'll bring you guys back when I shove all that in here, and then you can see the lights blinky and everything. All right, I'll see you guys in a minute. little tricky. I've never taken one of these off of here before, but there we go. I knew it couldn't be that hard. We're just gonna pull the wiring out of here, and then we'll stick in one of our so the if you look at the battery, the 9-volt battery, the small round one is the plus, and the big funny hexagon one is the negative. So it's the opposite when you want to put on a wire, is that you want to look here. So this then becomes, if you look at this, so the round on the connector becomes the negative, and the hexagon becomes the positive. So all we do is we're going to snake our wires through here like we did. Flip these around. Kind of like that, and then we'll just pull them out a little bit so you can fold them back over kind of how they were. Okay, kind of like that. You see that? And then we'll solder these up, and we'll put some solder on the connector here on both sides. And then we will just push the wire down into the solder. You gotta have, you gotta use all your fingers here. Okay, there's one. There's two. Okay. Then we'll just kind of pull back on that. And then what we'll do is we'll just put some hot glue on there, and then we'll plug it in. And then the, you can see here, we can stick our battery on here. Like such. And we got our meter here. Okay. And then we zoom you out one. Okay. Then we'll measure them. So the left one should be positive, the right one should be negative, and I get a positive 8.68 on the multimeter, which means that the polarities are the right way. The plus is going to the red wire and the negative is going to the black wire. So it'll be all good to just, you know, plug this into to the circuit there. Just gonna get out my my hot glue gun, and that'll be the end of that. So we'll just set this aside and move on. I'm going to remove the wires. So how do I have this? I have it green is going to 4. Okay. So LED 1 is red. Pull this off of here. And I do it where you can see it. It's kind of hard to see. And then yellow should be number 2. And then blue is number 3. And then green is number 1. You see, then it just unplugs. Convenient. And I think I even, somewhere I wrote the numbers down. I mean, I know it on the board. So the next thing here is, since I'm adapting what I have, I'm going to get out our X-Acto knife, and we're going to cut back the heat shrink. We're going to have to put new heat shrink on everything once I make all the connections. This is the heat shrink unshrunk, so we'll just cut a couple of pieces. You know, we'll cut this off, we'll cut a couple of pieces, slide them onto the wires, slide them back, and we'll keep going. So we'll just keep going here. You can watch me. Okay. Now we'll slice very carefully. Slice that one. So you just pull it off of there. Like thusly. Okay. And then we'll take our iron. The way I had this hooked up before, since I didn't have any connectors for this other stuff, is just, you know, running from the battery over to the switch, and from the switch over to where it gets power. But we won't have to do that. We'll just pull this all out like so, like that, and then we will cut the heat shrink off the antenna. Like so. Okay. Get our extra pieces of heat shrink out of there. And then, so we're gonna need 1, 2, maybe 3, 4 pieces of heat shrink, and then just need to pry off the little speaker I have hot glue down here, like that, and then you know, I'll just re-hot glue my my new speaker on there. I wanted to leave this board intact. Okay. And then we'll unsolder our antenna wire. come right off of there. And then we'll pry off our circuit board. And now this one is gone. And then we're going to go ahead and mount our... I think what I'm going to do first is we'll just test it. We'll set it in here so I know that the bottom one, this bottom connector is the battery. The top one's the switch, so polarity doesn't matter. But because it's both just 9 volts on both sides, it's just through the power switch. But I have, these are polarized plugs, so we will just go ahead and oh, you see Fermilab. We'll move back down here. And so and put this in here, thusly, and then we'll get some heat shrink tubing, and we'll cut ourselves a couple of short pieces of heat shrink tubing with our X-Acto knife, and then we'll get our heat shrink, and we'll just drop it on. That way we don't lose it, like so. And since I already have some, I have some solder on the switches, but we'll put a little bit more on so it's not a cold joint. And then we will just solder one and then the other. Like that. Put this one on here. Okay. Then we'll just slide our heat shrink over there, and we'll heat shrink those at the end, so you can see that, we'll figure this out. We'll put a little twist in it. It's going to basically sit like this. I do have some, like I said, I have some double stick tape here somewhere. After I just cleaned up. Here we go. Got some 3M trim adhesive. You can get this at Walmart. This stuff is great. It's kind of like, it's not foam. It's like more like a silicone-y kind of tape. And you can pull it off and redo it or whatnot. So, yeah, hang on a second here. I think we're gonna pause this. All right, so got my phone plugged in. We'll just go ahead and throw some of this. The reason I like this stuff too is, it's non-conductive, so you can really, stick it on circuit boards and whatnot, and it'll be fine. Then we just trim our double stick tape down. And then use a knife to separate the backing. Like that. And get our, I know you can't really see. Pull off our backing paper. And then we're going to decide where we want it. I pretty much want it like right about here. And we just stick it down to this plate that I made, this plastic plate. Make sure there's nothing going on in there. No metal. And this stuff is VHB tape. It's very high bond, so you gotta, you know, push on it for 10-15 seconds, you know, to make sure that it really bonds to the surface. And then it should be nice and stuck on there. I like all my stuff nice and tidy. So then your battery clip goes here, and that'll just come right over to here, you know, like right here. And we'll loop these down, and then the rest of these are the LEDs, and I gotta put a connector on this speaker. I can do that now. Polarity on this isn't important either. It's just a speaker, a piezoelectric speaker, so it's normally you can just, oh man, trying not to mess up the leads here. Not too bad, at least. I do want to use them, obviously. We'll get rid of our crap here, and then we'll take one of our wires, and we're gonna trim down our piezo, give it some short leads, kind of like this. Like that. And then we're going to take and we're going to get 2 more pieces of heat shrink to cover the connections on the piezo speaker. That's the part that beeps. And we'll throw this on here so we don't forget about it. Now, what I did before was, you know, I kind of set it in here, and then I kind of figured, you know, how long does this need to be? It's not, I mean, I can just do like I did before and just loop it. You know, I feel like that's the easiest. You know, these come pre-cut. I got these connectors off Amazon, so they should be good. All we got to do is just tin up the connector, the leads on the piezo. Thusly. That's where the little Panavice Junior, that's what this is pretty handy, because you can just, it's got slots in it for circuit boards, up and down, and kind of the top way through it, so we can just, you know, let's see here. Okay, so we can just put it in here. I'll show you in a second. Okay, so you can see that it's mounted in there. And then we'll just put a little extra solder on the leads. Clean our iron. And then we'll just solder them on here. Like this. just move our heat shrink on there. And now that guy's ready to go. All right, and then we can plug this in. I'll heat shrink everything at the end. So this is going to be our antenna. This one's going to be our antenna. So we're just going to plug this in temporarily, like this. Okay. Okay. Then at this point, we can actually plug it in. We gotta find the 9-volt battery snap connection I made, wherever that's hiding. It's here somewhere. Very prepared, I know. You just saw me make it. Here it is. Okay. So we're gonna take and we're gonna snap this baby on here, and what we're gonna do is we're gonna make sure the switch is off, and then we're going to plug in our 9-volt battery, and then hopefully this thing doesn't go up in smoke. We're gonna mount our battery in here like that. You see, we'll just bring the wires over there, nice. And then what you should hear is a beep beep. And then we don't have any LEDs attached, and then as if I get closer to the antennas, it should start going off with sound. So let's, okay, so you can hear that it beeped. Interesting. If I look at my schematic here, I think the way that I have this, the two have to be connected to each other. So they actually have to be touching in order for it to work, I think. Let's just try to jump these two together. Very interesting. Okay, well, it's time to do some troubleshooting. Make sure that what we can do is we'll pull off our switch, and then I can just jump the switch out with this one, so I don't need to be in the box. And you can hear that it turned on. Okay, so we'll take our battery out. We can just temporarily solder a switch in there, so that we're not just relying on that. Switch. This one's already got some solder on it. I used it before. Like that. So we kind of just made ourselves an external one here, and then go ahead and plug this in. Switch is on. So we're gonna have to pull off our tape here. So we'll get rid of that, and then we'll plug the power in. Like that. Let's check the switch. Okay. At least I know that the micro is getting powered up, because it wouldn't beep if the micro wasn't running. So we'll just so this is LED. The green one is LED 4, which is here. And these are polarized, so you can't mess them up. And then blue is 3. Let's see. Blue is 3. Okay. And then yellow is 2. Yellow is 2, it's over here. And then 1 is red, which is here. And then what we should have is, I don't want to short this out, but we should have is, if we look at the lights, come on down. Okay. We'll turn this on. Okay. So, we get our lights and everything, but It could be an issue with the 555 part of the circuit. That's what does the some timing. Anyways, I'll dig into this a little bit more. Oh, I can also pull out my LEDs, so it goes green, blue, yellow, red. This cool part about these LED holders is that you can just unplug them, right? Pull it off. See, they're just held in there. And then we got our 4 LEDs. So now we can kind of play with it on the bench here. So now I got to go back through and double check that everything is hooked up the way it's supposed to be. And I'll bring you back when I'm done. All right, everybody. I thought I did something wrong, but the only thing I didn't do was put a marking for pin 1 on the board, and I flipped my 555 the wrong way. Hopefully this one isn't totally fried. I'll put a new one in just in case. But now I gotta desolder this. Normally when you make circuit boards, you know, there's certain ways. I always put the notch or pin 1 pointing up. I did it with the PIC Micro, but I didn't notate it on my board. I didn't put a little silk screen dot there. So I kind of just went off my instincts, which was, oh, I must have put it at, you know, pin 1 on the top left. And apparently that's not what I did. I made this so it would sit nicely on the board. And I didn't indicate pin 1, which, you know, the notch is pin 1 or a white dot. You use that for surface mount or, you know, whatever. So I think all I got to do here is go in here and flip this guy around, and we should be in business, because it's not oscillating, it's not doing anything, it's backwards. I was confused as to why the ground was on a certain pin looking at my schematic, and then I realized, oh, it would make sense if the chip was actually flipped around. So that's what I did. So I didn't ruin anything. I didn't make a mistake in the I mean, I might have ruined a 555, but I didn't make a mistake in the circuit board. And that's okay. I've got another spot, like I said, over here. I got to move a connector a little bit. Now I got to put, you know, some plus symbols on there to remind myself which side it is. This is kind of the process that you go through, especially with a brand new board. You know, I mean, I made this board in one day, so I've made lots of other boards, but this is just one of those things where oh yeah, this is the fun part. Troubleshooting your own work. Luckily, since I built it well, it's easy to work on. So I can just, so what you saw me doing there was desoldering the chip. You can't really see super great. Let me see if we can zoom in here. So what you saw me doing was desoldering the chip, and then where the heck are my tweezers? Here they are. They're black. They blend in. So I was desoldering the pins on the 555 with desoldering braid, and then you just kind of touch the pins, and it'll pop right off. We'll set this one aside. We will touch up the pads with our solder wick here. This is the stuff here. It's like a braid. So we'll go ahead and we'll just clean this up. Clean up all the pads. They're cleaning up very nicely. This is the kind of stuff I do at work, you know. I work on stuff and assemble stuff, and this happens. It's all part of it, you know. I mean, I'm even the creator of it, you know, and I even, you know, confuse myself. That's why, you know, I like to have, I've got my schematic here, and I'm zoomed in for that. I got my schematic, and then I've got my my board layout to help me remember what goes where. Obviously, I wasn't paying enough attention. 555. So we will go back in here, and we'll find our thing of 555s here, which is right here, and we will pull another one out. And this time I put a mark. I put a little black dot on the circuit board, so now I know which one's pin 1. And then we'll just do like I did before here, which is just a little dab of solder on one pin. It's gotta come down a little bit. Little dab of solder on one pin that we can get to. I usually, okay. So this time, these chips have a little dimple at pin 1. I don't know if you're going to be able to see it. But anyway, so pin 1 on my board is now down instead of up. So I can, see, that's why I use this mat. These things have a tendency to just jump out of your hands. You got to get yourself a really nice pair of tweezers. You know, so when I go in here, I'm just grabbing just the body with the tweezers. And then we're gonna slide this in here. Like that. And then you might have to tweak it a little bit. Okay. So now we're gonna 1, 2, 3, 4, and now that's 5 that I already did. And then we're gonna do, this is why it's tricky here. My hand's gonna be in the way. So you can see, you know, troubleshooting's all part of it. Nobody's perfect, not even me. I know. I'm the first one to admit it. But, you know, that's why you also make multiple boards. Like I took another one here and I, you know, was starting to trace things and pin it out with my multimeter, and then I was like, oh, okay, now I know why it's not right. So, we should be able to plug in our battery, thusly, and plug in our antenna here, and then get our speaker, plug that in, and then the last thing is the switch. The switch is off. Now we'll just flip this up here for the moment. We'll flip this here. Okay. So now I know it's like a spaghetti mess, but now we should be able to power it up and the antenna should work, and now that the 555 is the right way. So let's see what happens. It should go beep beep and then the light should light. Let's see, we'll turn off the light here so you can see this. Which it did. And now, oh. Yeah, now you guys can see that it's working just fine. So what I will now what we'll do. No, yeah, this thing's pretty sensitive to interference and noise. That's why you keep it away from everything, anything powered, like this light here in my OT light with magnifying glass would set it off. So now we'll get another piece of sticky and we'll stick this on here. And oh, don't want to drop that. That's 800 degrees. Okay. So we got our 3M adhesive on here again. And we'll use our knife to grab the edge of this stuff. Like I said, this stuff is VHB tape, so you gotta, it's a very high bond. It's a it's a pressure sensitive adhesive, PSA. So you want to, push and hold on it for it to make the best bond. I use this stuff, like I said, on everything. So, there we go. Okay. Now, bring our box back over here. Okay. You see that? And then we're gonna sticky it down. We're going to push this on here for good 10-15 seconds. It definitely sticks better if it's warm. It's a little cooler over here. I got my door open. But it should, the longer it sits, the stickier it'll get. Okay. So that's my antenna. We're going to put some heat shrink tubing on the antenna wires. In this version, I made it so that it could have 2 wires on the output, so that I could go to another gang of antennas. I think the idea here is, this is the rempuck Mark 1, but also in the works here is the rempuck X4, which is it'd be like it's not the Mark II because that's another version. This is something totally different. This will actually have 4 antennas. You see how the cool part about this is that, I made it so you can unplug these little antennas, which, as far as I know, the rempucks don't do that. But in this way, you'd have, I'm going to make it so you got 4 of these. The X4 will have 4 antennas. That way, no matter how you turn it, you'll always be close to an antenna. I think it'll make it a little bit more sensitive, especially, so it's not just back here in the corner, it'll be around. So the idea here would be that, I've got, one going to here, and then the other antenna wire coming over here, and then this will jump to the next one so that I will have 4. Actually, I only need 1 piece of heat shrink to go over 2 wires, since this is the Mark 1 standard version, and all we got to do is tie the two antennas together, the two leads together. It's basically one antenna, and then we'll solder them in here. Get them on a little bit of an angle so they sit with each other. And then that's it. Now I'll show you. Okay. So that way we can now unplug our temporary switch. We can plug in our real switch, like I had. Plug her in. Okay, and we can take our battery, plug that on. We'll come back to fixing that lid in a minute, but okay, so I gotta plug in my my phone here. Give me a minute. Thing's never happy. iPhones use so much power. Okay, so now what we can do is I'll pull the antenna up, and then we'll turn it on. And now once you turn it on, you gotta move your hands away, and then it calibrates itself. Okay, now this light has a big effect, see? And you can see that if I, take off the antenna, it's not going off. If I touch where the antenna is, you can see it going off. But without the antenna on, you can't, the antenna is the most important part. See, I'm coming up right by the antenna wires here, but it's the same thing as if you touch over here. So, what we'd like to do is keep these, antenna wires short. And then, okay. So, you see, it really does not, even with it recalibrating, this is a lot of, we got a lot of, EM radiation coming out of this, this OT light. So that's why you want to keep this thing away from power electronics, obviously, because it will affect it. Yeah, let's throw in our lid here. So this is the back. This is the front. And I had green here, and then I had blue in the opposite corner, and then I had yellow in the right corner, and then I had red in the top corner. And of course I've got my piezo speaker, which I have to mount over here, but we can just throw that down in here. It won't be as loud, but then we can turn off the lights, and then we'll turn this bad boy on, and then so that's me. Everybody's got capacitance, and that's kind of how this thing works, is it works off of capacitance. So the closer you get to the antenna, the more it couples with the circuit, and it starts doing a whole bunch of things. Anyway, so it's definitely working. I just gotta hot glue a few things, but this is it. This is the rempuck Mark 1. And at this point, I'm going to be ready to start selling these if people are interested. Like I said, I'm in the prototype stage. Well, not really prototype at this point, but I'm gonna make the rempuck X4 in maybe another week or so. I gotta wait for my other antennas to show up, and then I'll make a 4 antenna version, and that'll be the X4. But as it is right now, these are pretty much ready to go. If you guys are interested, you can hit me up on Insta. I'm gonna probably be putting them up on eBay. I've got a spot on my Facebook. I'm just gonna put them all over the place. Or you can hit me up directly at grescoindustries@gmail.com. I'll leave some links in the description. But yeah, so and the best part about this is the other day I set this up in the kitchen. We have a lot of activity in the kitchen. And I set it up, and my son and I were watching TV just in the other room here, and this thing started going off all by itself. Not just one LED. No, this thing, it went like something touched it. There's nothing around. We left it on the kitchen table. It sat there for hours and hours and hours and hours and hours, and nothing happens. And then all of a sudden, it was about 11:30. This thing went off. We went over there. I brought out my EMF detector, brought out my voice recorder, my EMF, or my EVP recorder. We didn't get any EVPs, but we had before. So this is just kind of the latest thing. That's, I was inspired by the REM pod, and I wanted to make my own. So that's what I did. It's already working. I'm convinced. I built this thing. I know what it takes to make it go off and not go off. And it's convinced me that there's something here in my apartment. Which is, I don't know, for some people it might be terrifying, but for me it's fine. Yeah, so thanks for watching, guys. I might fast forward through a bunch of this, but otherwise, you see some more stuff. My Insta's got me working on the board. I got some pictures of me starting to assemble it and everything, so go check that out too. All right, I'll see you guys on the next one.